Hey, MotoAmerica fans, this is Jake Gagne. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the MotoAmerica YouTube channel for more coverage, and like, comment. Let's go.
The season opener for the MotoAmerica AMA FIM North American Road Race Championship is upon us. Our first round of 2021 getting ready to get underway. The MotoAmerica Superbikes at Atlanta from Michelin Raceway, Road Atlanta in Braselton, Georgia. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Supersport program. I'm Greg White, standing alongside two-time champion Jason Pridmore. And Jason, good news for us is that the battle between Richie Escalante and Sean Dillon Kelly continues this season.
Yeah, we're picking up right where we left off, and they've already started that here again in Atlanta. Couple little verbal jabs here and there between these two guys. We'd expect nothing less, but I think it's going to be a lot of what we saw last year. These two guys locking horns at the front.
Yeah, and for Richie Escalante, he had a dominating season, but for Sean Dillon Kelly, it was around Laguna Seca when things started to turn around for him. Success at the Ridge, but these two went at it all season long, Jay.
Yeah, they definitely did. And you can see here at the Ridge they battled, but it was like this at a lot of the races, and it was only a couple mistakes from SDK that really allowed the championship to get out of hand. As you look at the Suzuki inside the numbers, you can see first and second in the points, about a 40-point gap, but the amount of wins. Richie Escalante with this new team, new bike, did such an incredible job adapting early and winning races, a lot of them.
And with these two at the top of their game, we had a moment to sit down and talk with both of them about 2021.
It's difficult to compare for my last year, 2020. Very fun races, too much battle with Sean, but difficult to try to improve last year. You know, 13 wins, fast laps, pole positions, always in front. I think never finish behind, always in the top 3.
Richie was a very strong rider with strong package. He had a strong team and a strong bike, and he was able to pull it off. But last year we started off on a different foot, I think. And after everything that we learned last season, we built throughout the season. We finished the season with more wins than what we started with.
And for both of these riders, laser focused so far here at Michelin Raceway, Road Atlanta. But what's on the mind of the #1 plate? He's got a lot to think about with Sean Dillon Kelly, no question. But Jason, also, what about Rocco Landers? I'll tell you one thing about this guy, he knows how to win.
He certainly does, and he's going to be trying to pick up where he's left off. 3 championships in the last 2 years, Greg, and he's jumped on that new R6.
Third member of our broadcast team is Hannah Lopa, and she had a chance to catch up with the young Rocco Landers about his jump to Supersport.
Greg, in just 2 short seasons, Rocco Landers has already captured 3 championship titles and made it into the Red Bull Rookies Cup. Rocco, this season you'll be making your Supersport debut. What prompted the change into the 600 class?
Rather stay home, get some more support, build up our brand even bigger, build a relationship with Yamaha. That's what we're doing this year. They're helping us out a ton. And just kind of winging it right now, just trying to get some development. And first MotoAmerica weekend right now.
Knowing that you don't have as much time on this motorcycle, what do you expect your biggest challenges to be this season?
For sure, I'm changing the way I ride. Like the 400, you run like wide sweeping lines. This thing, you kind of run more point and shoot. I'm still figuring that out. Like I was pretty close in qualifying, and a few spots had some small problems, but like we're gonna be there in the race.
Best of luck to you this season. Greg, the Supersport Championship is sure to be competitive, but Rocco Landers got confidence, so we'll see how things shake out.
And that is a huge part of it, confidence, especially around this incredible racetrack, Jason.
Yeah, definitely a rider favorite. A lot of changes over the years. Down into turn 1, you're going to shoot up a big steep hill into a tricky little turn 2, 3, 4 section that then generates even more downhill through that fast right into 5. Your key corner here, Greg, get out of turn 7 well so that you can pass people down into turn 10. Then there'll be another passing opportunity as they come down into turn 12.
As for the young talent in this class, you got to take a look at number 44, Sam Lockoff. He's another one who's going fast. He'll be the one to watch.
Well, you can feel the tension down here on the grid. Sean Dylan Kelly going through his usual rituals. He's had the eyes closed for about 35-40 seconds. We're not going to talk to him. We're going to let him get absolutely in the zone. But I just want to point out the new helmet. Look at the design of this Arai helmet for Sean Dylan Kelly, the runner-up in the championship last year. He stuck it on the pole, and it's going to be an interesting fight, I think, between Sean Dylan Kelly and Richie Escalante. We're just going to take a walk back through the grid and try and show you guys on MotoAmerica Live Plus as much of the grid as we can. We've already spoken to Stefano Mesa. There is Xavier Zayat, Sam Lokoff, who we've spoken to. And then we move across now. We're back onto row number 5, and it's pretty empty here. Just like if you look at this, there's no bikes here on the outside of row number 4. There's only one bike in the middle, and that is Alejandro Termiotis. He is looking ready and raring to go. There's a lot of empty spaces on this point of the grid as well, and a little bit behind me here, also lots of spaces behind me as well. Altus Motorsports, they've just had Jake Lewis on the grid in the Superstock race. Jarrett Nassani is here, the number 18 Westside Performance Racing, also putting the gloves on here, and just look intently now as he fastens everything up to final little details. You can see here as well the drinks, little straw in there so you can have a drink, and it is super hot here, guys. I know you guys in the booth were saying it was pretty cool, but it is so hot down here. We have come across here to Cooper McDonald. He's another rider that went down earlier on, but he's super happy. They've repaired this Altus Motorsports machine, and he is of course getting ready to go racing. We come back then. We want to try and give as much visibility to as many riders as possible, and here we can see Austin Miller for the Pure Attitude Racing, and that pretty much is the entire full grid. So they're asking us to clear the grid, so we are going to start heading off back to the pit lane. But Roger, you can cut the tension on the front row of the grid with a knife. Sean Dylan Kelly on the pole versus the champion of last year, Richie Escalante. What can Rocco Landers do? This is going to be a barnstorming Supersport opener.
You're exactly right. 3/10 separated first and second, but I mean, there's a couple of hundredths, I think, between Richie Escalante and Rocco Landers. Rocco Landers, I think, is my surprise, and I don't think it's any surprise that he's actually there. But he's the guy that, where is he going to start? Because if he gets ghosted off the start, it could be tough. But the pressure, if he gets out in front, now what do I do?
Yeah, I think we thought, Rocco would be this close to these guys, but not so early in the season.
Right.
So for Rocco, I would just try to get a good start, hang on to those first 2 guys, and just go to school and follow them. And also something to point out too, these races are going to be a little longer than he's used to.
Yep. 18-lap race to go, but Sean Dylan Kelly's going to lead the field. Can Rocco get a start? He's going to be on that front row as well. But the question is also the number 1, Richie Escalante, that Honos Kawasaki. What is that bike going to do? That bike's a fresh one. He wadded up the first one. Can they set it up like they had the previous one? Some things don't always go, as planned. But Richie Escalante trying to put that number 1 back on top. Sean Dylan Kelly trying to beat him like he did a few times last year. It's the Supersport coming up now.
Today's Supersport coverage is sponsored by Geico Motorcycle. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on your car or motorcycle insurance. And by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series.
Welcome back to Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta. A beautiful aerial shot of this facility packed with people today. But earlier on in the day, during qualifying, Honos race team Kawasaki's Richie Escalante had a big get-off. Jason, let's take a look at it.
Yeah, this is coming up over the brow, going up into that turn 2 area, Greg, and you can see he lost the front. Now, he was part of a number of riders this morning that we saw have a big problem here. However, his Honos Kawasaki took a big amount of damage. You can see the oil dropping out. I was down in the pits about an hour ago, and they were feverishly trying to get this bike together.
Well, let's get more from the third member of our team, Hannah Lopa. Hannah, what is going on with Richie Escalante and the Honos Racing team?
Greg, I walked down earlier and touched base with the team. Richie, as the rider goes, all things considered, completely fine. Unfortunately, that bike did catch fire and was too damaged beyond repair to continue to repair it and get it out on the track safely for this race. The team was forced to roll their spare chassis all the way down to tech, get it approved to run, and all the way back down to their pit to completely rebuild essentially with a new bike from scratch. Richie said that he's really confident that they can replicate the settings that he was feeling really comfortable on earlier. But as far as, you know, mindset goes for the rider, he's feeling calm and he's ready to put it behind him and just focus on this race.
Wow, Jason, that is something that you've got to overcome for Richie Escalante and his team. But let's take a look at how they qualify. Jason, here is the starting grid. Sean Dillon Kelly, M4 X-Star Suzuki, a 28.2 to put it on pole.
Tremendous job from SDK. Richie Escalante second. Rocco Landers in his debut ends up on that front row. A little further back, Greg, back to row 3. We got Fernandez, Lampkin, Lockoff. Yeah, and then we got Flores, Thermiotis, and Liam Grant. Liam Grant is actually going to be a scratch here, Greg. He had a tip-off in that spot this morning. He looked back further through the field. Faulkner, Zaragoza, Miller, Ivy, Nolde, and Fox rounding out rows 7 and 8.
A full field of racers, 27 qualified for this race. And now, Jason, it is time. Everybody's been waiting the offseason for this one. Are you ready for Supersport race action? Sean Dillon Kelly in a great position from pole position. When these lights go out, we're going racing. Clutches are dropped. Here comes turn 1.
It's going to be interesting to see if Rocco can get off the line with these guys and go with them straight off the bat. You can see SDK's got a great run. Escalante's going to drop in a second. Looks like Zayat moves himself into third as they head up the hill the first time. Didn't see where Rocco is. Looked like Rocco got pushed out a little bit down in turn 1.
First race start here in MotoAmerica competition for Rocco Landers. But the top 3, Sean Dillon Kelly, what a launch to lead the way. Last season, these two in the first and second position, swapping wins.
And look who's trying to go, Xavier Zayat. We saw him a few times last year try to go with these lead guys as well. He's done a good job so far. He's part of Stefano Mesa's team. They just paired up this week. We saw the press release of Mesa 37. Xavier Zayat is part of that, as whatever Xavier had going on for him fell through for the year. So him and Stefano Mesa have paired up together.
Long drag down the back straightaway in lap number 1. Now we're going to get a look at who's got the right gearing and the horsepower.
See Benjamin Smith and Stefano Mesa back there 4th and 5th. Right now, Escalante, I saw him come down the hill from his warm-up lap, siding lap. He's going to take a shot at SDK as they go down into turn 10 on the opening lap, Greg. He's not going to be able to make it, but you can already tell how much confidence he has in that bike right off the start. He got a good siding lap and a good warm-up lap, and that was enough to give him the confidence on this new chassis.
Escalante looking up the inside to the final corner, a 90-degree right-hander, and looks like someone went wide, didn't make the corner.
Looked like Zayat probably went wide down there at the end, so that's going to bump Benjamin Smith up there into that third spot. It is Zayat. You can see him turning his bike around out there in the gravel. There's Rocco Landers with Lockoff just behind him as they come across the line.
18 laps scheduled in this one. Sean Dillon Kelly right off the rip. Now passed by the number 1, Richie Escalante. Escalante on that rebuilt motorcycle, already feeling it early in this one as they head off through the S's.
Just literally taking no time. He's going to try to get back up to the front. He wants to kind of control the pace. We've seen this out of both of these guys a lot last year, where they both like to control the pace at the front. Now SDK becomes the chaser.
Escalante into turn number 6. When he releases the throttle, Jason, he gets on the binders. A little bit unsettled is that Kawasaki ZX6.
Yeah, and I'm not surprised to see how aggressive Richie is right off the bat here. He wants to send a sign out saying, look, my team built a bike. We can have a little bit of adversity like he did this morning, and that was some big adversity that he had. But his team put that bike back together, and now it's, you know, you can look at him down the back straightaway, Greg. He's already starting to stretch it out just a little bit.
Into turn 10A, you have the number 1 of Richie Escalante on the Honos Racing Kawasaki ZX6R, leading the way for M4 X-Star Suzuki's Sean Dillon Kelly, our 2 stars from last year. In third place, Benjamin Smith, the 88, doing a great job. Coming down the hill onto the front straightaway is the Northeast Cycle Outlet Racing. That's Yamaha R6.
We got a red flag.
Red flag is out, hands in the air, indicating to the rider behind him that the red flag is out. That's going to be race stoppage for us. So, riders will slow down, head back to the pits. We'll take a look at the incident, what exactly happened, what's creating this red flag. But riders will head back to pit lane. The incident will get sorted out, and we'll get back to racing. So on our timing and scoring screens, Richie Escalante not credited, but he is definitely there, Jason. So Escalante trying to set sail early on. What's interesting about this red flag conditions, if you're curious, Dunlop tires have control over the tire situation in the sense that they can decide whether tires get changed or not. And they will not be changed. But you can work on the bike if you need to. So for Escalante, his team could take a look at what was going on, say into turn number 6 when he's aggressive off the throttle, as we can see a rider being.
Turn 1, it looks like.
So red flag conditions in Supersport.
So that early in the race, Greg, these guys will get back in, get some warmers on the bike as quickly as they can. That's what the teams will be doing. It actually probably works out a little bit for Richie here. He can come back and tell the crew exactly what he feels could be any different on this bike compared to the one that got sent down the road this morning. So obviously he feels pretty good on the thing as we saw him take to the lead there.
So it looks like the 55 of Kyle Fox.
Yeah, that's a fast one. He's going in backwards into this air fence. You can see the bike's going to beat him there. And once he gets past that, we can't quite see kind of how that whole thing ended up there. But we saw him getting the bike out.
So Sean Dillon Kelly with his M4 XR Suzuki back in the pits. Team will put tire warmers on. Richie Escalante in, so we'll step away for a moment on our coverage of MotoAmerica Supersport Racing. We'll start to get this red flag sorted out and tell you when we're going to be back to race action. Don't go anywhere. Supersport continues.
So Sean Dillon Kelly taking a sip of water as we take care of the downed rider, and we saw the aftermath of it. We've seen riders go down there in years past, and it's a high-speed turn. That's going into turn 1, that right-hander, and we hope everything is all right with him. But again, in the interest of safety, they bring out the red flag because you just can't have guys circulating in a critical point like that.
No, it just leaves everybody out there, in safety. If somebody else crashed, hit his bike, it would be that much worse. And then if you need to get the medical crew to him, it's the most important thing is get those guys to the down rider as quick as possible. One person I'm sure, Richie Escalante, that bike he's never rode before. Now he's got 2 or 3 laps on it, and he can come in, talk to his crew, and if they need to tweak anything, they'll be able to.
They can do that. And you know what? They can also work on that transponder because we weren't seeing him pop up on time in his scoring. Not sure what happened there.
When you're in first place, you don't really need a transponder.
No, but it helps us.
Yeah.
We can see if he turned a fast sector somewhere, if there's separation. Get smart with me early on, huh? I like it. Another guy might help, Rocco Landers, right? We saw him, didn't get the best start. A guy who did get a good start, another guy, Xavier Zayat. I said, hey, that's the guy who I thought was really fast at COTA, and he was fast until he checked off. With it only being so many laps, they'll get a complete restart, won't they?
Yeah,
it's like the race never even happened.
It'll be a complete restart, and the guys that got a bad start, they're not too disappointing with the red flag, but, the guys that got a good start, sometimes it happens. The red flag can either help you or hurt you. In this case, for a guy like Rocco who got a really bad start, and this is his first start on the Supersport bike. I know he's probably practiced them, but until you're on the grid, you can practice all you want. It's not the same.
When you're elbow to elbow with Sean Dillon Kelly and and the defending champ Richie Escalante, it's a little different than running a regional race or a local race. Not that it's just a different world. And Sam Lonkoff going to start. I think he was in 5th. He's going to get another shot at it. So he was actually right behind Rocco Landers as far as the placing when they called the red flag. So he's doing all right. And M4 XR Suzuki is a proven bike. He's a proven rider, but a different class for him.
Well, even when they spoke to him before the race, he said, hey, I want to just latch on to that little group and go on, and that's exactly what he's doing. And that's a smart thing to do that as well. It's his first Supersport race moving up. And last year he really kind of had a coming out in the Junior Cup.
Yes.
Started the year a little bit slow, and then all of a sudden there he was,
podium every week.
Top 3. We had the big 3 in that class really with those 3 guys, and you're going to get your best learning experience in the race with guys that are maybe a little bit better than you, and you can watch and learn.
Yeah, practice is one thing, all that testing done away from the track, that is totally different than actually race day. Now we're putting the helmet on, and it's something for real. But unfortunately, we're in a red flag situation. We're going to try and restart here with the Supersport as quick as we can. Let's send it back over to the guys here in just a bit.
Welcome back to Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta under red flag conditions for our first race of the season in the Supersport category. And with this opportunity with riders back in the pits, let's head it right down to Hannah, who's hanging out with Richie Escalante.
Well, Richie, the tip over in the second qualifying practice led to your team needing to completely rebuild this motorcycle. When we spoke earlier, you said you kind of wanted to take the first few laps, even though you didn't get two just now. What were you feeling underneath you, and was it familiar to you?
Yeah, first to take thanks to Ono's team, Hudson Valley, to support me and pushing hard to the bike ready for the race one. I'm feeling great. I back to the settings for normally used last year, so I'm feeling amazing. I'm ready for win this race. So we'll see. Right now, I try to start a little bit better, and then let's go. It's the first race, so I don't care about the points. Just go to racing, and yeah, I push hard.
Does this red flag situation change anything for you as far as your mindset goes?
No. Just a little bit more support front. Especially Sean is very, very strong in the pump brake, so I need to have that room to try to pass in the last laps with the battle. But I try to pushing hard with my rhythm, and let's go.
Best of luck. Thanks, Richie. Guys.
Yeah, the first thing I saw Richie do, and you can see him there talking to Chris Lessing, his crew chief, talking about what they might want to change or any things that they were looking for as far as how the other bike felt to this bike. It's a really unique situation as a rider to be able to go from a practice session where you fall off or qualifying, Greg, and the next time you're going to ride this bike, whether it be the one you rode before or the one that's gotten rebuilt, to go straight into a race like that, it can be hard mentally. But when you have confidence in your team and your crew, and you heard him say they just went back to settings that he was comfortable with last year. Obviously, he was fast then, and he paid some respect, obviously, to SDK and his ability to brake on the Suzuki.
Yeah, and that really was a telling sign in terms of those first couple laps, because then Escalante starts to formulate a plan in terms of, okay, I see where Sean Dillon Kelly is strong, so you get an opportunity here to make a small adjustment.
And the other thing, too, when you look at it, last year Escalante came into this and it was championship, and you hear him say there, I don't care about the championship. This is first race. I want to go out and win races. You get a little addicted to that, I think, if you won as many as he has, and you can see SDK getting himself ready to get himself back out there to battle. And but yeah, you can see Richie right now is riding a little bit free.
So Jason, let's talk for a moment about really what the day is like, because as a super sport racer, anybody, you have a schedule, we know, here in MotoAmerica, and you're kind of ramping yourself up all day long to get to that peak of race start, and then you got to go off and do it again.
It's kind of funny because that doesn't ever, you only get that feeling kind of once. Once you've got out there and you've done your sighting laps, and these guys only got 1 or 1.5 laps under their belt, but they're going to be kind of itching now to get ready to go again. They've kind of already seen who they're racing around and racing with. Got some new faces in the class this year, like Sam Lockoff, who did an incredible job right off the bat at the start of this race. I saw him up there not that far off the back of these guys in 5th, I believe, when the red flag came out. So when you start to look at, you got some new young faces that you got to get used to riding around. There's a good look at Sam Lockoff right now. Been doing a lot of training with PJ Jacobson, if you follow those guys on Instagram, and seeing him working a lot. So the thing is that you got new people, new faces. There's another one, Cooper McDonald. We've seen him on in the Twins Cup class. He's on the Alta 600, taking the place of Kevin Almeida right now, who I saw in the paddock and is hoping to be back with us maybe at Road America from a shoulder injury that he had fixed. So you got a bunch of new young guys that we've seen, but then they're kind of getting mixed in with some of the guys that have been racing this class for a while. So the only two guys that are going to be really familiar with each other are the two guys up front.
And it looks like we will have an original grid position start. The race will be cut to 15 laps, and pit lane will open here in less than a minute's time, and it'll be a quick start procedure, Jason.
Yeah, that's going to be what these guys are going to roll out of the pits. They're going to come around. There's going to be one crew member on the grid waiting for them. They'll stop real quick and then send them out. We've had a lot of attrition this weekend. Shout out to a couple of the guys. Number one, I talked about Liam Grant earlier. He's been working really hard. Junior Cupper came up through. I've seen him a lot at Chuckwalla this year, working hard on trying to get used to this new 636, and he had a tip off this morning, as well as Dominic Doyle, who we saw finish second in the championship last year on Ninja 400 on his Ninja 400 last year, 636 this year, but he fell off yesterday and got a little dinged up. And then of course Nate Minster from up in Wisconsin, was really sad to see him fall over this morning too. He's actually not too bad, but he's kind of out of leathers, and he dinged up a frame pretty bad. So we've lost 3 kind of our young guys right off the bat to a little attrition early in the weekend.
Guys, as these bikes heads back out, I just want to shift our attention back to Sean Dillon Kelly. I spoke with him earlier, and this being his 3rd year with the M4Xer Suzuki team really gives him a certainty that you can't manufacture. He has such confidence in their overall package. He knows with 100% certainty what the motorcycle underneath him is going to do, and they have data from the last 2 seasons that they can constantly refer back to and continue to improve upon. So I think that he's really ready to give this championship a solid effort this season.
I agree with you, Hannah, and I think that he learned a lot from last year. He's got an experienced guy on the wrenches from him too, is Jeremy Toy, who will keep SDK in the right mental spot. I would think Jeremy is very, very seasoned, and I think that remember last year, Greg, we went to MotoAmerica for our very, very first round. He didn't score any points, so he's kind of playing catch up from the beginning. You got to be there to try to finish every one of these races, and I mean even on the warm-up lap, the number 1 and the number 40 can't get away from each other. You can see them here down the back straightaway on the warm-up lap.
Who's going to win the warm-up lap?
Yeah.
Now, coming into this, Jay, with this restart, I think, looking at, in terms of our front row, the benefit, or could be, the largest benefactor is going to be Rocco Landers on this one. He's going to get another go at a race start. He didn't get it nailed quite right the first time.
Yeah, I think Rocco, we would expect to see a little bit more out of him at the start, but the other guy is Xavier Zayat, who we saw run off early down into this last corner. I'm sure he got back out and got going again. I'm just looking to see if he's gritting up here, but Xavier Zayat's another one that is going to be happy that red flag came out, and because he had lost all kinds of time.
Again, quick start procedure, so the grid is forming up, as Jason mentioned, with 1 crew on the grid. This is just to confirm the grid position for the rider. Then they're going to get basically the warm-up lap. So you can look at that as the sighting lap, and then they're going to leave from here, grid and go, and we'll get back under racing for this 15 lap.
It'll be good for Rocco. He's got a start under his belt. He's kind of seen how things sort themselves out going up that hill up into turn 2. A little bit of a unique situation here at Road Atlanta, because you got a nice big wide turn 1 to get into, and then everything funnels at the top, and it's really one line. So you got to kind of fight for your position. You want to be aggressive, but not overly aggressive. You don't want to cause a big melee up there. Running off the track will actually cost a lot of time for you, but it's very one-lined up there. So you want to try to get the best jump you can, get up that hill as good as you can, and slot into the spot that you think is going to be the safest and fastest way for you to get through those first few turns at the top of the hill.
So it's Sean Dillon Kelly who will sit on pole position, as he did in the original start with Richie Escalante and Rocco Landers. Benjamin Smith, Stefano Mesa, and Xavier Zayat on row number 2. Max Angles, Nolan Lampkin, and Sam Lockoff on row number 3. What's so interesting, Jason, was the offseason chatter about Sean Dillon Kelly and Richie Escalante, the potential for them to move up to the Honos Superbike class. And when things obviously sorted themselves out and we have them in this class, it's just weird to say that these two are the seasoned veterans in Supersport.
No doubt. After 1 season, you feel like that with these two. But when Escalante and SDK both get on Superbikes, it's going to be really fun to watch. I think they're both going to be amazing when and if that time comes. And when you think about it, SDK only being 18, I believe he is, still very young. So that's why this championship is going to be important for him. He wants to try to go out and win this championship and then get up to the Superbike class. And he's in a team right now, Greg, that has a Superbike team. So there's a possible jump there for him if he can show himself in this class, obviously. And then for Escalante, he's just hoping he's going to get an opportunity to get on that Superbike. I mean, he was ready to go this year. I think Escalante right now would be a tremendous addition to our Superbike grid. And you know, he proved himself last year, and I think that when he gets on a big bike, 1,000, it's going to be a new beast for him to get used to. But both these guys are going to be ready for that jump when and if the time comes.
Most of the field coming down the hill and through the final corner to take their grid position. 15 laps to go till we see the checkered flag in this one. Sean Dylan Kelly had a great launch right off the rip in the first one. Can he do it again? What about Rocco Landers on that front row, number 97? What a great front row we have, Jason. You have a Suzuki from a Kawasaki from a Yamaha. Things we love to see in the super sport category. Rocco Landers giving a thumbs up to his crew, saying we're ready to roll. So we're going to do this again. Michelin Raceway, Road Atlanta, Super Sport race number 1.
Didn't look like Xavier got back, but I'm just looking down there, Greg. I'm a little bit blocked. I can't see.
Revs are up. Lights on. It's go time. SDK with another good launch. Richie Escalante in tow. Riders fanning out all over the place, trying to find some real estate.
Oh, Rocco Landers in the back of Stefano Mesa. Mesa somehow, I don't know how he did it, but he kept that bike upright. Rocco Landers got into the side of Mesa as they went down into turn 1.
Rocco Landers frustrated with that. Looks like he is okay. But what an incident in turn number 1. So Landers in his debut.
Oh, Mesa's pipe is all bent up. You can see it there. So these three guys got out front. It looks like Max Engels there, Greg, is in third. There's Rocco Landers' bike. It looked like he was just getting pinched off, and he got into the back of Mesa. You can see Lockoff. It's some guys here, Lockoff and Nolan Lampkin are running 4th and 5th right now.
But out front is Sean Dylan Kelly, M4X Star Suzuki, and the Kawasaki. Behind him is Richie Escalante. Here's a look at it, Jay. You missed the left part of your screen.
He's down the inside. Lockoff has gone up underneath Rocco. Rocco's getting squeezed down there by 2 guys to his outside, and he's going to just make contact with the 37 of Mesa. Now look how long this bike holds on to the back of Mesa's bike. Rocco goes down in front of the whole field and manages to get out of the way. Benjamin Smith does a nice job of avoiding it right away. But look at this bike, Greg. It's attached to Mesa right now.
And there's a pass for the lead, and a pass back by Sean Dylan Kelly. A surprise up the inside, lower right-hand part of your screen. So we have this fierce battle going on at the front. And Sean Dylan Kelly had lost the lead to Richie Escalante. And as we saw last year in race number 1 here at Michelin Raceway, Road Atlanta, SDK's got it dialed in. Top of the hill they go. Escalante was up the inside, so he'll take the lead at the top of turn 2.
These guys have not missed a beat. What offseason? You know, this is like right back where we were at Laguna Seca at the end of last year when SDK went out and did the double there. These guys have already passed and repassed each other in 2.5 laps. Obviously, the red flag prior, probably 4 times already, so they're going after each other. Max Engels is indeed the rider in 3rd place right now with Lockoff and Nolan Lampkin. And just out my window now, I can see Mesa has pitted, Greg, so that bike is probably too badly damaged to continue.
Through turn number 7, an important corner. Jason, you talked about it. On to the back straightaway they go. SDK looking for a mega drive to get into the slipstream of the Kawasaki of Richie Escalante. Here they come down that back straightaway. You can't even see SDK. He's in there so tight. He pulls up alongside. He gets position. But Escalante, if he's got half a wheel, no. So Sean Dylan Kelly on the draft will pass and go back to the lead.
And that's exactly what Escalante had spoke about, how good SDK is on the brakes. You heard Escalante talking about he needed a little bit more support underneath him. Escalante is going to try to fire back as they go down into turn 12 here. We're on lap 2, by the way, Greg, of 15. These guys are going at it like it's the last lap of the race.
Escalante off the track there for a moment, throwing a couple rocks in the air. No drama for the Honos Racing team. Boy, Escalante told Hannah, I don't care about points. I'm just going for a race win, and he's showing it right now. But SDK, there is absolutely 100% fight in the Floridian.
Well, both of these guys have that, and the neat thing is that we've been lucky enough to call these races all last year, and the respect that they show on the track, even though it's fierce, it's very respectful racing. They always seem to give each other that little bit of extra room that the other guy may or may not need, but they always seem to give it. And these guys, you know, like I said, Greg, we're on lap 3 right now. We're worn out.
All right, so last time onto the back straightaway,
It was Sean Dylan Kelly who dictated his pace. He was able to get a good drive and the draft. Now we're going to see the Kawasaki that's had some off-season weight added to it, as Escalante behind the bubble drives, is going to break that draft there side by side through the kink down into turn 10A. Who's going to have it on the brakes? SDK has position, but Escalante trying around the outside, nowhere to go.
Yep, but you can see again, SDK had good position down there. Escalante had come up around the outside, or was going to be the inside going down the hill, but that put him on the outside in the braking zone, so it wasn't quite able to get by SDK. These guys have pulled quite a big gap. We're looking at a 29 flat that time, 28.6 the lap before that for these two.
So the pace is fierce up front. 28.2, 28.5 the qualifying times for these two up front. All the while, Max Angles in third spot, Sam Lockoff and Nolan Lampkin in fifth, with Jared Nassani in sixth spot. This battle right here, broken free of Max Angles, who's 4.5 seconds adrift in a podium, in a podium spot. So M4X Star Suzuki's Sean Dylan Kelly, little wheel hop in the air. He's carrying that wheelie all the way down towards turn 6. Not going to lose any drive on that one.
Be interested now to see if Escalante sits there down this back straightaway, or if he indeed does try to pass again. These guys love to go back and forth. That time he was able to kind of pull up alongside of him, but not enough to go past. Let's see what happens this time, Greg. Got a good run this time.
Inline 4-cylinder engine screaming at maximum RPM down the back straightaway. Well, you can see the draft in the windscreen on the Kawasaki, the buffeting, and there he goes. Escalante with the number 1. Oh, he's deep in there. Bike goes sideways. No problem for Escalante, and the lead.
And that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to try to get himself in a position. That's why he didn't pull out of the draft and go to the right like he did the lap prior. He stayed in the draft longer. He's backing it into turn 12. Stayed in the draft longer and then got to the left-hand side of SDK as they went down that hill into the braking zone.
Lesson learned for Sean Dylan Kelly. On the number 40, into turn 1. 11 laps remain in this race. Richie Escalante talking about his aggressive approach to race number 1 of the season. Oh, and Escalante on that curbing throws it a little sideways.
But seeing them do that all weekend, I saw SDK this morning up over that curbing as well, and it's a little bumpy, obviously, getting through there. You want to get the bike turned before you get on the paint, not necessarily turn the bike on the paint. So if you just miss it just a little bit, seems like you got to be pretty pinpointed where you need the bike to be there. Otherwise, you hit some pretty big bumps in the middle of it.
Escalante through turn number 7. Sean Dylan Kelly now bike length and a half, but Escalante got on the gas early coming through 7. He was able to really get that Kawasaki turn. Not as close as we've seen Sean Dylan Kelly draft and pass before, but he's definitely got it.
Yep.
He's got the draft. He's going to take him around the outside, which is going to turn into the inside as they head down into turn number 10. SDK drifting back to take Escalante's line. And now it's Sean Dylan Kelly back to the lead.
And again, he did exactly what Escalante did to him the lap before. Line yourself up on the left side so that you're going to be able to brake in the spot that's going to pretty much just block the guy from going out. Escalante gets it all out of shape going into turn 12, and now you can see there's a tiny bit of a gap.
Oh boy. Now we're going to see if Escalante has any speed left. Maybe something he was holding on to, because Sean Dylan Kelly now has got a nice gap all of a sudden, just based off of that one little mistake for Escalante. Through the S's, the quick transitions at the top of the hill into the famous S's here.
And you can see he's not really making a big impression on SDK right now through those S's. SDK cleaned those S's really nicely. He has just gone 28.173 that last lap. He's pulled another 10th out. He was 0.6 of a second out front. So now that lead's gone to 0.7. So SDK might have got a little bit of a break that he needed. Escalante made a mistake down in the turn 12 area, and that's allowed SDK to just get away a little bit.
Yeah, so it was kind of a double effect. Not only fastest lap of the race set by Sean Dylan Kelly, add on the mistake of Richie Escalante, and all of a sudden this big gap. And how about Sean Dylan Kelly on that last lap? A 1:28.262 was his qualifying time. He's bettered that at a 28.1 in the race. Escalante, though, is not giving up.
No,
Jason.
Escalante is not. You know, we know that. We know that Escalante is not going to give up at all. He's going to keep pushing as hard as he can to try to catch back up. and put in a flying lap here. No purple on our screens, which would indicate that we've got fast splits. But you can see, one of the things I'm really impressed with the Suzuki right now is how well he can trail off into the corners. Between turns 6 and 7, you can see SDK gets it in there and trails off in there, but is still able to keep up a little bit of that corner speed on his entry. And the Suzuki looks very comfortable there on the edge of the tire under a little bit of braking. And as he came across that last lap, it was about the same as it had been the lap before. But look how nimble and quick he gets that bike turned through the top of those S's.
Greg, Jason, I think it's worth noting that in talking to both of these riders, the dichotomy between these two different bikes, these two different racers, and their mentality. Richie Escalante is very laid back, very relaxed, and he's very focused on just living in the moment and the race at hand. Well, someone like Sean Dillon Kelly has got a lot more energy, and he's kind of focused to looking ahead toward the future and the overall bigger picture. They both train, they both have exceptional motorcycles underneath them, really strong teams, and really great success in the past. So I think it's pretty neat to see that, there's different ways to prepare for success, and what each of them does works for both of them in their own way.
Yeah, there's no question. I think that's kind of goes without saying throughout the paddock. Everybody gets there a little bit different ways sometimes, Hannah. Some guys like to train in different areas or different ways of training. And, both these guys are very, very dedicated to their craft. And even though they're getting there in different ways, the lap times are identical just about.
What a great report and a good insight into the minds of these two racers. So the gap has stabilized out at about 7/10 of a second. M4X Star Suzuki Sean Dillon Kelly leads the way with 8 laps to go in this race, nearing the halfway point of this 15-lap restart affair with Richie Escalante on the Honos Racing Team Kawasaki. Behind him, Sam Lockoff has moved past Max Engels in third spot. So Lockoff, the rookie, now in a podium position.
Look at this by SDK, just pulling away down through those S's right now.
And that's the gap all the way back to second place. That's where these two are the class of the field in MotoAmerica Supersport at the moment. So SDK, what a job he was able to do. And that's the whole thing, Jason, is keep the fight to Richie Escalante. Don't let him get out front. Force him into a mistake and this gap. And this one's not over by any stretch of the imagination, but you can see that Escalante at the moment has got nothing for Sean Dillon Kelly. However, with these races and the distance of them, how hard you abuse that Dunlop tire can play a factor late in this race, although we have perfect racing conditions.
We have perfect conditions right now. This is where Escalante, this is actually where SDK is pretty good too. Getting down to this last corner, Escalante's bike doesn't look as stable as the Suzuki. You can see SDK gets the bike tipped in, another mistake from Escalante there, and he just gets pulled back away. Gains some time on that back straightaway. We can see that, but again, it's 0.9, and it wasn't 0.9 when they come up under that bridge going down to that last corner. It was probably more like 0.4, 0.5. He loses a lot of time in that last sector there.
Battle for third spot. The number 44 is Sam Lockoff, the South African, on that M4X Star Suzuki.
What a great job from Sam Lockoff. He's been putting in his time as well. Like we said, it's going to be a new ride for him. One of our Junior Cup kids coming back up. He was one of those 3 guys last year, along with Dominic Doyle and Rocco Landers, who made that jump up to the 600s. He's signed on with M4X Star Suzuki, and right now he's doing a really nice job. Max Engels as well. We saw him last year, Greg. I believe he got hurt. Was it Pittsburgh maybe? I think he got hurt at Pittsburgh. And how about Nolan Lampkin? Nolan Lampkin's finally got a new motorcycle. And right now he's got these 2 guys right in front of him. These 3 are all battling for a podium.
If you're curious, Max Engels, as we know him, he's also Fernandez, and he's number 64. That's the name you're looking for. We have a rider down.
Trying to see who that is there. Now you got these guys. They're all going to be starting to get in each other's draft here. Nolan Lampkin is right up behind Max.
Lampkin in the draft, out of the draft. They're going to head down into turn number 10. Is he going to be able to hold on to this one? He does for the moment. So the 52 of Nolan Lampkin, Indianapolis, Indiana Cycle Gear Racing Yamaha R6, will take over 4th spot. Now he's looking at Sam Lockoff on the M4X Star Suzuki.
And he's a guy that's been around a while, Greg. He's been working hard. His dad and him go to all the races together. So This is an unusual position for Nolan to be battling up in those podium positions, but he's really improved on some things, as obviously as Max. But man, you got to tip your hat off to Sam Lockoff. First time on a 600. I know we had a little bit of carnage in that first turn, but you got to be there and you got to battle, and Lockoff's done that really nicely.
Jason, I agree with you completely, and when I talked to Sam about this transition, he feels that it's been kind of seamless. He fits in well with the team. They communicate really well with each other, and they found a great routine. A lot of people don't know this, but he actually suffered a hip dislocation at a preseason test at Jennings, but it's feeling 100% back on this bike. And the main thing for him was just trying to get used to the power of this bigger displacement motorcycle. You know, on the 400, this is his favorite track, and he's still adjusting to kind of figure out the feel of this new and bigger bike, but it doesn't seem to be holding him back one bit.
No, it's a great report. When I saw him at COTA, he had kind of pulled me aside and told me about that incident that he'd had. And he said, you know, Jay, I'm just going to come here, get used to being around my team, get used to being on this motorcycle. And he went into that COTA test almost very subdued in a way that he just wanted to be there and be around his guys. And I thought that was really cool. And I know, you know, just from what I have seen from some social media posts and stuff, that PJ Jacobson's mentoring him. And PJ's been around a lot of years, has a lot of experience, knows what it's like to be young and being brought up on bigger bikes. And so that's really going to help Sam along his journey here.
Onto the front straightaway they come to complete another lap. Sean Dillon Kelly, 0.7 of a second adrift of Richie Escalante. They have 22 seconds over this battle for third spot between number 44 Sam Lockoff, number 52 Nolan Lampkin, and number 64 Max Angles Fernandez. Smith, Thermiotis, Nassani, Miranda, and McDonald, your top 10.
Pretty impressed with Cooper McDonald in 10th as well, coming from our Twins Cup, another young rider, and he's doing well. Alejandro Thermiotis, another guy, 7th place, like you say, Greg. Benjamin Smith, I think, was caught up in that little incident in turn 1, so he's managed to march his way all the way back up to 6th place. Another good, strong ride from him right now.
It looked like Max
had an idea, didn't he?
He had a thought. But Jay, looking at the distinctions between these two riders, if you look at number 44 Sam Lockoff, his stature versus Nolan Lampkin, I think looking at Nolan Lampkin in the draft it's a bit deceiving because he's very tall, but he's very, very skinny.
Yeah, if you said let's go get the smallest guy and the biggest guy and get a picture, there'd be these two guys right here, I think, for this class. Nolan doing a nice job getting in the draft. You can see, I think he can get in behind that fairing a little easier than his old bike because he takes over third as they go down into turn 10. He's going to get that bike stopped through 10B up the hill. He moves himself into third place as they come down the hill into turn 12. This next lap by will be 4 to go for this group.
What a move by Nolan Lampkin to put himself in a podium position. What a story start this would be. But here comes Lockoff. What a drive out of the final corner. Now the dash into 1. Who's going to be late on the brakes? Position goes to Nolan Lampkin. The battle for third rages on with laps winding down.
How great are these aerial views that we're getting from our helicopter? This will show you how this is just a little bit one-lined up here through the S part, turn 2, 3, 4. Then you're going to drop down. They're going to do a short shift right there, Greg. They're going to drop down. This is a big, steep hill. They're going to go down into the famous kind of turn 5 here. Going to probably go back 1 gear for turn 5, up over the rise, use a little bit of that paint to help you. There's a little bit of a curving there, and you can see Nolan has a great run. He gets ahead by about a 10th or 2 on those guys just in that first split. And now they roll off into turn 6 and then the all-important turn 7. And this is where Sam wants to be close enough, because if he's close enough, oh, he makes a little bit of a mistake there, does Sam Lockoff. And that's going to allow Nolan to just pull out gap that he needs to maybe not get drafted down that back straightaway.
And this is the part of the race where the rookie Sam Lockoff is learning so much. This could be his longest run on these tires, definitely his first race. So there's a lot of things going on. How did he do managing that tire? What about the physical conditioning, the extra weight and horsepower of these motorcycles coming off of one of the Junior Cup bikes? These are all things that are going in the bank for Sam Lockoff. He is keeping himself in contention as Nolan Lampkin, that final spot on the podium in sight, as Sean Dillon Kelly has extended his lead over Richie Escalante now to 1.4 seconds. And here is the look at it, with about 2.5 laps to go for Sean Dillon Kelly.
And how about SDK just runs the fastest personal best last split. That's a split that he was already really quick in. He goes 25.0. Escalante did respond with a 25.1. About 3 laps ago, Escalante did his quickest lap of the race, and SDK has been able to respond to all of that right now. So with about 2.5 laps to go, you can see the gap is starting to get to be that unmanageable spot now for Escalante.
when you see splits like that, outright fastest split of the race, this deep into the race, that just...
He's got a good motorcycle underneath him.
And it's what Handa talked about, you know what I mean? Having all that experience with this crew and the time on it and the data, he has 100% confidence in this motorcycle, and he really knows what it's going to do with Dunlops late in this race. Sean Dillon Kelly coming into this season and talking with his crew chief, said that this guy is focused. He knows what he's up to. When the visor goes down, Killer Sean comes out. SDK 40. Really, he had to work for it. We saw 5 lead changes until this solidified itself.
And he goes 28.2 that lap, Greg, to a 28.8. So it looks like Escalante is thinking about coming back and fighting for another day, because SDK just did a lap that's only a 10th off his personal, like the best lap of the race. So that's a pretty strong run he's got here. You can see the gap now down through the S's.
Sean Dillon Kelly now with 2 seconds over Escalante. And Sean Dillon Kelly with 30 seconds over Nolan Lampkin. And that battle for third, that's continuing to rage on behind him. But what can you say about M4X Star Suzuki, Sean Dillon Kelly? Jason, you mentioned it. This race isn't over. There's a lot of racing to be had here. A lot of racetrack to go with about a lap and a quarter. A lot of corners. I'm not calling it the race win just yet, but in looking at last year, Jason, you mentioned what Sean Dillon Kelly was up to in our first race, not scoring any points. This is redemption for the start of the season and his march towards his goal of being Supersport champion here in MotoAmerica in 2021. Looking nice and smooth down through 10A, 10B, up underneath the bridge, down the hill. And boy, that seems to be the spot where Sean Dillon Kelly the last couple seasons has really felt comfortable.
No,
hard braking down a hill. And Jay, that's not an easy place to stop a motorcycle. No, slow it down.
It's not, but you can see the bike when it gets back in line, it does it very smooth. And you can see it even over the famous bump there in turn 1. It seems to soak that up pretty well. Doesn't really disrupt too much of the things that SDK needs to get done as he comes up over the brow at turn 2 into this little S section here.
White flag is out. Final lap for Sean Dillon Kelly in his M4X Star Suzuki. Richie Escalante gave up another second, so he's 3 seconds. So I think it's safe to say, Jason, you're absolutely right that Richie Escalante now is in learning mode. If this is the bike they end up racing tomorrow, then he's got to bring all that data back to his team and see if there's any improvements they can make to that motorcycle that was built just a few hours ago for Richie Escalante by the Honos Racing team. Escalante looking comfortable, though, on the bike, a little sideways leaned over, having some fun.
I think that's some of the problem, though. You know, when you see the bike getting sideways as much as it is and bucking back, and it's not really getting back into the place it needs to be when the rider really wants to let go of that lever and feel comfortable turning it. That's where, right today, this bike for Escalante didn't look as smooth. And this bike here, it's the exact opposite. It looks like when SDK's got the bike and he wants to release the lever, the bike gets back in line very nice and easy as he comes down the hill for the last time.
Here he comes down the hill into the final corner. Sean Dillon Kelly fires the first shot of 2021, and he will take victory here at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta in Supersport. Escalante in second spot, so he'll collect those 20 points. And here's that battle for fourth spot. You can see third, Nolan Lampkin coming through 10A. What a comfortable lead, but for fourth spot, Lockoff trying to lead that charge. He'll come up and over the hill. Oh, look at the drive that Max gets. So the 64 will go right by Lockoff. But how about third spot right in front of him? Here comes Nolan Lampkin across the line for a podium finish in Supersport. The pride of Indianapolis, Indiana will stand on the podium in Supersport here at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. We'll step away when we come back. More coming at you from Braselton, Georgia. Don't go anywhere.
Sean Dillon Kelly going, I can't hear you. You're not loud enough. Oh, boy, they were screaming for him, and you could hear him probably screaming through his helmet after that victory. A hard-earned victory, Roger Hayden.
Yeah, definitely earned that one. What a great ride by Sean Dillon Kelly, and every time Richie would try to make a run, he would step his pace up, and it was just his lap times were so fast, lap after lap, just consistently doing it. Looks like we got a guy down in the last corner there. Looks like Cooper McDonald
Where was Cooper?
He was running the top 10.
He was right at that top 10. That's right.
But, you know, just doing those low 28s quite a lot faster than he went last year here at Road Atlanta and turned it into a victory.
Yeah, Cooper McDonald, unfortunately for him, on the Altus entry. Kind of, you know, another young kid that moving up into this class made some mistakes there towards the end. One of them we saw there, Sam Lockoff. I mean, it looked like he should have had a good shot at fourth. It should have came down to that last turn, but he didn't even wait that long. Just one little mistake cost him.
Yeah, that little mistake coming out of turn B cost Sam that fourth spot. But how about Nolan Lampkin? It's so cool when you see a young kid like that that's been around for a while and put in a lot of work in his program and really tries to, you know, does a lot to try to get better as a rider and build his team and to get a podium. It's going to be like I don't know who will be more happier, Nolan or Sean Dillon Kelly.
Yeah, you're correct. I thought Nolan was going to get him into the back of him there when Sean went to pull that wheelie up. Yeah, the cycle gear rider, unbelievable job for him. Number 52, Nolan Lampkin out of Indianapolis. The Hoosier getting her done. Started back, 2015, I think, or so was his first venture into the series back when it was the juniors. I think he's been doing the Supersport since 2017. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this may be his first ever podium. I know
it is his first podium in Supersport.
He had a top 5, but top 5 is different than a top 3. Look at all the hugs.
Hey,
you know what?
and
Second
for
place.
Richie Escalante, it's not a bad day.
No, it's not.
You just totaled your bike right before the race, never got to do one lap.
And just like Greg said, there was that certain point that he had to back out, and he said, second today, maybe I'll win tomorrow. Either way, I'm ready to hear for him. I'm ready to hear what Hannah Lopa has to say with a happy 3 up front.
Today's Supersport race coverage has been sponsored by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series.
What a way to start the season in Supersport. Sean Dillon Kelly with a 2.6 second victory over Richie Escalante, and Nolan Lampkin on the podium with Max Angles and Sam Lockoff duking it out there for the 4th and 5th position. Impressive day.
Unbelievable day. I think STK fires the first shot. Richie will keep fighting, and like you say, Greg, seeing somebody new on the podium is great. Nolan's been around a lot of years, working hard on that. And though, here you go. These are the guys that are going to be the most happy right now, right here.
Congratulations across the board from the M4 X-Star Suzuki team in a victory for Sean Dillon Kelly. And his crew chief congratulating him, and he should be pumped because that was the first shot fired. And could this be just the stamp that says, hey, I'm ready here. I am absolutely ready to challenge for this title.
Well, he's starting with 25 more points than he did this time last year.
Good point.
And that's a big coup for STK. He came in here hungry and strong. Escalante had a little problem this morning. No excuses, though. I mean, STK rode amazing.
And we get to do it again tomorrow right here from Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. So there'll be work being done in the Honos camp. Now, Jason, what are you going to do if you're Escalante and his team overnight?
Just look at the tape and see if there were some things that they could do to make the bike a little bit more comfortable for him. I feel, Greg, that'll be the thing they'll look at tonight.
All right, so that's Supersport in the books, and that's all the time we have here from Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. You make sure you join us tomorrow for Supersport race number 2. Can Sean Dillon Kelly do it again? That was certainly exciting. For Jason Pridmore and Hannah Lope, I'm Greg White. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you right there tomorrow.